Hello and welcome back to another Study Bean Advice video. So today we are going to be talking about GCSE Science, mainly Chemistry and Biology, as these revision methods are very similar for each subject compared to Physics, which is like the odd one out. I did Edexcel GCSE Science as my exam board, but these tips are transferable across any exam board. So I hope you have your tea and a notepad ready, and let's begin. So my first point is to listen and take notes in the lesson. This is pretty self-explanatory, as because sciences have a lot of content and often this is really complex and confusing and there are lots and lots of points. But hopefully this will really help you understand this. You also want to be taking notes or making flashcards or making some sort of revision resource as you go through this, and you can hopefully edit this later in line with the spec, which I will mention. The spec, as you'll know if you watch my other video, is super important, and it's especially important in sciences because you're being taught so much content it really narrows it down. And the spec specifically for biology and also for chemistry is really specific and has the key language and terms that you need to learn throughout it. So when you're making your notes or reviewing the notes that you made in the lesson, you want to have your spec on the side so you can go through it. Here we have a nice example, and you can tick the spec points you understand. I will do an overlay so you can see it better. Tick the points you understand as you go through and mark any you don't understand or you need to research further. So these you can either talk to your friend, your teacher, or even just YouTube it. We love free science lessons. Best person. And then you can hopefully cover all the content in the exam. This means that when you're revising, you know, and when you come to the exams, you know you've covered everything that can possibly be on the spec. To make or break your science grades is to do past papers. You want to be literally doing every single past paper that is humanly available to you. So the best place to find this is revision sites, so like Physics and Maths Tutor, which I think basically is all of them, or onto Cognito. They have topic-specific questions, which is really useful for revision. Also, Cognito is such a useful website and it literally saved me on topics I didn't really understand. It has many 4 to 10 minute lessons on each topic as well as questions afterwards, so they really drill it into your brain. And it's best to do that a month or so before the exam, as I only really discovered it before then. I'm sure if you do it earlier for revising for block tests it'll also be helpful, but you only really need to do it a couple of months beforehand. But basically, when you do your past papers in science, they are so important because the mark schemes are so specific. Literally, if you don't mention one word like mitosis or something, they will mark literally your entire answer incorrect. So it's really important you do past papers so you learn the language and know what areas you get wrong and what areas you need to review. So doing past papers isn't really enough. You need to identify which areas you get wrong and also need to use past papers as a really useful revision resource. Even if you haven't had any notes, I'd recommend going onto Physics and Maths Tutor and looking through their notes there. But even if you haven't got any notes, I'd try and do all the past papers because they're really going to help you. So once you've done them, you're going to mark the areas you haven't got right and then write down which topics are in to see if there's a common topic, aka topic 7 or something, and then work on that through Cognito notes or Physics and Maths Tutor. Also, once you've done your past papers, you also want to make notes of specific language that you get wrong. For example, I'll bring out one of my past papers to show you what you did. You also want to be making all flashcards and all the big essay questions that they do at the end. I mean, they're not big essay questions, they're just history, which is 12 markers. These are 6 markers. But here, so you can see this was a 6 marker in a past test, and I wrote down all the points, mark schemes that they gave us. So if I got another question, and trust me, they reuse questions, this was a 4 marker in my paper, you know which points they're going to be marking off, as they generally keep the mark scheme year on year, even if they change the wording of the question slightly. You also want to be making a flashcard over on everything that you get wrong in the paper. So big topic things you can work on, but more small 1 to 2 mark answers. So just before the exam you can go through it. Here is one I made for biology paper 1 on one of the papers I did. So just before the exam I went through all the mini questions that I frequently got wrong, so it was all in my short-term memory and I could use it really quickly. Physics and Maths Tutor, past papers, shadow notes, these are really useful and also good to compare to your own notes to see if you've missed anything. Cognito, literally the most life-saving website ever. So if you're stuck on any topic, you'll see I did literally all of these, and if you watch them on 2 times speed, they're only 4 minutes, and you also get quick questions. So these are really useful if you've done a past paper and see you don't know a topic and you could just quickly run your way through it, as well as testing yourself on notes. Then we have Save My Exams, which also has some more in detailed notes, because sometimes I found Physics and Maths Tutor, if I compared it to the spec, which I'll do a quick brief thing on how to find, it wasn't in detailed enough, so I often combined it with Save My Exams and also the textbook and like CGP guides if you want to get those, but you don't have to, you can steal your friends. And then finally, flashcards. Make literally flashcards on every single 6-marker. My next thing is trying to predict what questions they're going to be. Look at the past 6 markers and see what like topics they haven't done yet. Like I got slightly assisted with this because they gave us like highlighted sections, so I can kind of see what the 6 markers going to be based on like the highlighted sections in the spec. But even you can try and guess before that by making a list of all the topics that the 6 markers are in and trying to see if there are any like big topics that they haven't done in a couple of years, because they'll often repeat them or like recycle the same 6 markers. The next thing is core practicals. Now hopefully our school gave us core practicals sheets. If not, Free Science Lessons does amazing videos on core practicals. They're really detailed notes on Save My Exams, and all the Save My Exam notes are free, or at least they were. I think they still are. And other than that, just watch tons and tons of YouTube videos and make sure you make really detailed notes or flashcards on these, because at least one is going to come up, generally 2 or 3, and they're going to be about 5 to 10 marks on these, so they're really important you remember these. Hopefully I mentioned all the tips. They'll probably be in a bit of random order, but hopefully I'll edit it together. And you're going to do amazingly. I may have mentioned biology the whole time, but they're kind of like crossed with chemistry. I revised them pretty much the same. And make sure you check out my other video for more like general tips, like how to fit this revision in with your other subjects, what active recall is, how to make flashcards, and how to make a study timetable. I hope you have an amazing day. You're going to do amazingly, and yeah, bye.